she's behind the 8 ball because of that, and it's just not true.
That was like a term. AOC. Half fake. That's right.
AOC completely loses it after Bill Maher exposes her live on TV in the most brutal takedown of her career. Yes, he called her a liar on live TV, and he came with receipts. From her carefully crafted working-class Bronx origin story to her performative politics in Congress, Maher peeled back every layer of the illusion.
All the deals, but he still has time for this.
It was Bill Maher, a lifelong liberal, who calmly took her apart piece by piece on national TV. No shouting, no grandstanding, just surgical, brutal honesty. And that's what makes it sting so much more. Because when a conservative criticizes AOC, it's easy for her camp to write it off as expected. But when the attack comes from someone like Maher, someone who's built his career challenging both sides, that's when the cracks really start to show. And the fallout? It's spreading fast.
Because she cut a sweetheart deal in the House. I sell out my community, and you name me ambassador to the UN.
Suddenly, the golden girl of the progressive movement looks less like a political icon and more like a brand under crisis. Her talking points, her firebrand persona, her carefully curated for the people image, now it's all being ripped apart out in real time. The mask is slipping, and even her own allies are starting to look away. It all started when Bill Maher questioned something most people wouldn't dare say out loud. Is AOC actually the real deal, or is she just another media creation? Slogans over substance? He didn't yell, he didn't mock. He just asked, what has she really done? That question hung in the air, because deep down, even her loudest defenders know it's a fair one.
But people love AOC. The people I party with don't like AOC.
Oh, please.
No, they don't at all.
And then came Don Lemon, trying to do damage control and failing spectacularly. First, he boldly claimed, the people love AOC. But seconds later, under light pressure, he shifted. Well, the people I party with don't like her? What? That's not defending her. That's a collapse. Right there, you could see the panic in real time. A party scrambling to protect a figure they're not even sure they believe in anymore. But Maher wasn't done. He called out her radical overreach, her incoherent policies, and her obsession with theatrics over real results. And then it snowballed.
Because they want us all to turn against each other and cut our nose in order to spite our face.
And let's talk about those congressional speeches. Angry, emotional, performative. She delivers them with the drama of a stage actor, but the substance of a teenager trying to sound deep in a debate club. It's passion, sure, but passion without clarity is just noise. Her critics are calling it what it is now, a word salad on fire.
You have access to all the information. You have access to that actual fucking laptop. Oh, yeah. The fact that someone would say that's half fake.
Yeah. No, that itself is disinformation. It's important. That is a lie.
This moment with Bill Maher wasn't just a bad night for AOC. It was a tipping point. For years, she's been shielded by media allies, amplified by Twitter fandoms, and praised by pundits afraid to question her. But now the questions are coming from inside the house, and the answers, they're not landing. Maher's takedown wasn't loud, but it echoed. Because when someone on your own team says we have a problem, people listen. And now the Democratic Party is facing a dilemma they weren't ready for. OC was supposed to be the future. But what if she's actually the distraction? And the more she talks, the more people are starting to see it.
Interesting moment over the weekend when your New York colleague, Congressman Jamal Bowman, and he's under investigation for this now after Capitol Police say he pulled a fire alarm in one of the House office buildings. Democrats were trying to delay a final vote on the bill.
Things really started spiraling when AOC jumped to defend fellow progressive Jamal Bowman after he, get this, pulled a fire alarm in the middle of a Capitol vote. Now, most adults know not to touch a fire alarm unless, well, there's an actual fire. But apparently, Bowman thought it was a political reset button. The moment made headlines, raised eyebrows, and sparked memes faster than you could say code violation. But AOC's defense, that took things to a whole new level of weird.
House administration and U.S. Capitol Police and Jamal Bowman are an active, and he's fully participating.
Instead of offering a clear explanation or distancing herself, she delivered a rambling, almost unintelligible defense that left everyone scratching their heads. Her exact words: "He is actively participating in saying there was a misunderstanding." Wait, what? That's not a defense? That's a jumble of words hoping to sound smart.
Democrats have officially turned on their darling poster child, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, after an absolutely brilliant political move by Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The moment exposed what a lot of people have suspected for a while. Even her media cheerleaders don't really believe the hype anymore. They've been defending her out of habit, not conviction. Lemon's contradiction wasn't just awkward, it was revealing. And then, of course, there's the moment that might haunt her forever. The Met Gala dress. Yes, the now iconic white gown emblazoned with red letters, "Tax the Rich." It was bold, it was loud. It was, let's be real here, laughably hypocritical. There she was, standing in front of a sea of celebrities, billionaires, and fashion elites at a $35,000 per ticket event, sipping champagne and grinning for Vogue, while pretending to fight for the working class. You couldn't write better satire if you tried. This wasn't activism, it was performance art. AOC looked less like a congresswoman and more like an influencer on a brand deal. You can't rail against capitalism by wearing a slogan on a designer gown surrounded by the exact kind of people you claim to stand against.
You muddy the water, yes. And now anybody that's looking at that could go, oh yeah, but that's half fake.
And people noticed. Even some progressives were left cringing. That moment became the symbol of everything that's gone sideways with AOC's public image, style over substance, optics over action, and a brand that seems more focused on virality than viability. Her politics, once seen as raw and fearless, now come off as curated and Instagram ready. So between her incoherent defense of a fire alarm stunt, Don Lemon's public backpedal, and a red carpet contradiction so blatant her worst critic could have written it, the picture is clear.
When you're just in a tough time and you've got one quarter, the people that you can think of, I'm dating myself, right, with Gen Z and payphones, but the people that you think of when you're holding that one quarter in who to call, those are your friends.
Let's talk about one of AOC's greatest hits. Not a policy, not a speech, but the story of her life. You've probably heard it, the Bronx-born working-class bartender who rose from the trenches to take on Washington's elite. It's the political version of a Netflix underdog story.
My mother cleaned houses growing up, and so I kind of grew up between two worlds at a very young age. My parents felt like they had to move me to another zip code so I could get the same public education.
Bill Maher had the nerve to say it out loud, and now the internet can't unhear it. AOC's humble origin story might be more fiction than fact. She grew up in Westchester County, one of the wealthiest suburbs in America. Now, Westchester isn't exactly where rags to riches dreams are forged. It's where kids go to private schools, not free lunch programs. It's where the streets are lined with trees and Starbucks, not chalk outlines. Her father was an architect. Her education, she went to Boston University. The truth? She's not a product of poverty. She's a product of clever branding.
That is such a horrible violation of the trust that the people who elected you.
And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because we're not saying someone from the suburbs can't care about social justice, but when your entire political identity is built on being the voice of the oppressed, it's a little hard to swallow when it turns out you grew up in a zip code with tennis clubs and organic grocery stores. It's not just misleading, it's manufactured.
When I was about 9 years old, I watched a lot of Star Trek with my dad.
The reason this narrative works is because people want to believe it. The idea of someone rising from the struggle to power is inspiring, but when it's exaggerated for clout, that's not inspiration, that's manipulation. And once again, the same problem emerges. AOC is playing a role, not living a truth. Her story, like her policies, starts strong and then falls apart under even the slightest scrutiny. Now let's zoom out a little, because AOC's unraveling isn't just bad for her, it's a full-blown identity crisis for the Democratic Party. She was supposed to be the future, the fresh voice, the fearless new face of progressivism, and now she's looking more like a liability, the kind you can't ignore because she's trending every other week for all the wrong reasons.
Vice President Harris made history and shared a vision, I'll get this quote right, a vision of America where we hold fast to the fearless belief that built our nation and inspired the world that here anything is possible. The nomination, this one, is a meaningful step.
Science fiction anymore. We will have the first woman president of the United States.
Let's call it what it is. Kamala Harris deja vu. You remember how Kamala stormed the stage in 2020, slogans blazing, sound bites locked and loaded, and then nothing. No follow through, no policy clarity, just a lot of we're looking into that and awkward laughs. Now it's happening again with AOC, the same shiny surface with very little underneath, and it's wearing thin. Even people on her side are getting tired. Defending AOC now feels like bailing water out of a sinking ship with a spoon. And this raises the big question. If AOC is the future of the Democratic Party, what exactly does that future look like? So hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.